This is your boy, Ideal.
Ideal, bro. It's the ideal plan, yo. Have you heard about the ID?
ID.
Yeah, that's what the feds be asking all the time. Show me your ID. Now,
Hey, welcome back everybody. It's Opinion Outlaws again, and again, back to back.
The grind, we keep grinding, man.
And
the sun is shining on top of that, man.
God bless.
God bless. Beautiful day too. Actually, not lie. Actually, it's pretty beautiful.
It is a beautiful day. It's in, I would say, I'm surprised.
I'm surprised also, because if y'all didn't know, the Finnish weathers, they're moodier than your girlfriend, bro.
You think it is? It ain't.
It ain't.
You think it ain't? It is. So, pick and choose.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Before we start, like, comment, and subscribe. You know where the buttons are.
Oh, you gotta start from the beginning already.
Oh, yeah.
From the start, immediately, do what you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do. You know what to do. And we appreciate your comments as well. We would like to hear your comments. We'd like to hear your opinions about the Outlaws.
And I also want to hear some, catch these hands, my boy. What? I'm just joking.
We don't promote violence. Maybe
a little bit.
A little bit. Maybe.
A little bit.
Well, hey, welcome back, everybody. Opinion Outlaws stands always what? The only thing that you cannot say is you cannot say that.
And unfortunately, you cannot say that.
What you mean?
What?
What you mean?
Bamboozle. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to put a segue from
the
last
segue.
episode?
Let us hear, man.
Yeah.
Already on the
last episode, it was more like therapeutic than anything else. Did you see what I did there?
Segue.
Did you see what I did there? It was more therapeutic than anything else. It was more like we share our opinions about the stuff that happened to us. Unfortunately, I have to say this phrase: "It is what it is," and it has. We will still keep going, as you can see. We still are keep doing this stuff. And the last time we spoke about what happened, and I highly suggest that you check that video out, because then it will be out of context. This episode that we are doing, it will be out of context that what we are doing now.
And what actually happened in between, because all of a sudden, we're missing one person.
Yeah, where he go?
We're missing one person.
And all glad tidings to him. But because the last episode was more for commonalities, for what happened to us, and then we shared our opinions about it, now we thought that, okay, well, to segue to that would be the therapy. Yeah, and as a topic, yes, but not, of course, the whole therapies.
No, not the whole, because we're not trying to claim to be any experts or therapist or any medical student or so on. So most of the stuff that we're going to speak about is more of a personal view or personal experiences. So don't take it as a, how would I say, medical advice.
Medical advice. And I highly suggest that every time you listen to someone, please check their background. Check what they.
What you mean, man?
Not in the sense of have they done criminal thing or not, but for example, we both are not for medicine.
We don't study medicine.
We don't study medicine. So when we give our opinion about something about medical, it is more from us. This is more how I see. It's more how he sees. It's not about this is the fact. It's not a fact. It's just how we see it.
Or something that has worked for us, or somebody close to us, or somebody that we know overall. So. Hey,
disclaimer.
Right? You gotta let them know.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff that we speak about is something that is something that closely has happened, or we know that it has happened to somebody or somebody's friend, etc., etc. So we're not basing it upon a big fact that because majority of the population things goes like this, that we must go opposite way, or shit like that. So
yeah.
No.
So. I'm gonna actually start with this interesting quote, because not quote, but a conversation that we had with my colleague. Actually, we had a conversation with my colleague, and she told me that she had this encounter with somebody who was going to therapy, and she took an what's the right word? She started to look around which parts of the country is easiest to get into the therapy. This one particular, she told me that she was living 2 years ago, something like that. She was living not in a big city. She got therapy almost immediately. Like when she asked her, I want to go to therapy. She went to the therapy. She got in almost in 2 days, something like that. Here in the where we live, Kuopio, if you want to go to therapy, it's about 1 year's lineup, 1 year's quote. And I believe it's both sided. I believe that yes, there are people who shouldn't go to therapy just because it's trend or just because people talk about that everybody needs therapy. True, but therapy that you're describing is very different from therapy that everybody needs. Me and you, we
understand the word therapy. Let's segue to the part of what is therapy in itself, because a lot of time, especially how we view it as well, I've probably mentioned this in a lot of our episodes, that a lot of time when we understand therapy, we understand it differently. The therapy in itself, what is it exactly? Because as you said, it's a trend nowadays a lot of time. But what is therapy in itself? How would you understand it actually?
Gotcha. So my view is that therapy is when something bad happens to you, you gather from that the experience that happened to you, or good. Both are equal in my opinion. Good or bad, when something happens to you, you gather that experience, and that experience either you have good, bad, or indifferent feelings, opinions, expectations, and you move onward with that thing that happened to you. Now, as human beings, we are built like that. We experience something, we learn from it, and we continue by that fact. The problem where it comes is that somebody can experience something very horrific. I'm gonna give you an example actually. I don't know if you remember, we had a friend. He was living in the student, you know, when you go from here a little bit over there, there's a student, like a student not a campus, but a student place, apartments where apartment complex.
Yes,
there is a student apartment complex where a lot of students, university students, are joined or being there or living there, and usually it's foreigners who came because it's easy to go there. So he told me that he brought a female over, and they were
men of culture,
like hey, respect.
I gotta know what you
respect. And I am mad at that. It's a natural cause, right? You have to do what you did. I'm a virgin, so I don't know this stuff. But he told me, mid-kissing, she just pushed him away. Like he was kissing and all that, but she pushed him away. She was more like this.
Disgusted by him all of a sudden?
Not disgusted. It wasn't like that. Like
it was kind of like a reaction.
It was a reaction. And like the first thing that he was in a split second thinking that, what's going on?
Something ain't right.
Something ain't right. But then immediately he took a step back and he said to her that, are you okay? Is everything fine? And she told him that, yeah, I have had a bad experience. So I reacted this way. And he said that, listen, if you're not comfortable with it, we don't need to do it. Like you can just sit around, we can watch a movie, we can drink a cup of coffee, we can do a bunch of stuff, not that. And it's an example of what I'm trying to say, that experience that she had can then be an obstacle for the future life that she will have. Not she or he, or whatever the case. Based on the experience that they have. Now, understand this. Everybody, if I experience something and he experiences something, our experiences are not the same. I don't see it the same way as he did. If somebody calls me an N-word, it has happened before, I have told you.
You know, it's like, yes sir!
You get what I'm saying?
What's up? Tell me one more time. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
Like, I'm serious, I have told you maybe this story.
I think I have heard that.
Yeah,
I think I have heard
I
that.
was on my bike. Somebody drove off me and
Passed
they
you and just-
passed me, showed me a middle finger, and screamed at me with a hard R, like "Nee."
Pause!
And
At first you start looking around like, do I got a black friend with me or what's going on?
yeah, I was first like, it had to be somebody else. So nobody was in front of me. So I looked like my back. Nobody's even back there. What the hell?
Who are you screaming at? Like, what's going on?
But for me, that's a different experience. But for him, for example, it's a very different.
At this point of life, that would be like, I mean, I couldn't, to be honest, it creates that tiny fuming sensation of, I could whoop your ass.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, but do I really want to waste my energy on? Because as we know, freedom of speech, as we say in OpinionOutlaws ourselves, somebody can call me whatever, but are you willing to take the consequence behind it? The words in itself don't really matter to me, but whatever you say to me creates up, are you willing to take the consequence? That's pretty much it. It's kind of like you teasing with your friend and all of a sudden you say, let's say hypothetically, you start saying things that are really personal or hurtful.
Yeah.
You gotta expect something to come behind it. You can't
course.
be just joking randomly out of nothing. So, but personally, I tend to take things lightly. If I can resolve things by speaking, I prefer to do that. But if it becomes a physical conflict, in that situation, also you're trying to resolve it without being in there. But if you have to go there, you gotta go there.
You gotta go there.
You gotta go there.
Unfortunately.
And unfortunately, we don't advertise or recommend
violence.
physical violence.
No.
Yes, but
stay away from violence.
Stay away from violence. But yeah,
So my way of seeing therapy is that when there is an experience that is rendering you to this kind of extent, that is bothering you in your normal day activity. Maybe you don't see it, but something will happen, because in life I have seen that when something happens, it's very personal to you, especially to you. Like you get what I'm saying? Like sometimes things happen so well that you're saying that this cannot be happening right now. Why me? Why at this time, at this particular moment, I am the chosen one who has to deal with this? But that's the test, in my opinion. That's the test of your character, because if I got tested with something else, I wouldn't bother. You get what I'm saying? Like it wouldn't reprehend. But then something that is very personal to me is tested to me. Yeah, it tests your character. It tests a little bit of your patience. It tests a little bit of your courage, your confidence. What are you about? And when you have those experiences, the whole point of therapy is that you overcome those experiences that will not be harmful for you in the future. To me, I've had, now on a realistic note, I've had terrible experiences with ladies. I'm talking about terrible experiences.
Honest man.
You think that these guys always make jokes about me that I'm not a virgin. You guys, they have seen when I have spoken with ladies, flirted with them, made a conversation.
Oh, he's being honest. He's admitting things. He's admitting things.
But I'm trying to put things into perspective. You get what I'm saying?
I understand. Gotta respect that.
You cannot imagine how many times I have failed. You cannot imagine how many times a woman has looked at me and just by the sheer one thing she has said, ugh. Like you cannot imagine. You cannot imagine. However, if I would have come here and say that it was somehow because she did this or they did this to me, this is the reason why I'm not pursuing a woman anymore, or this is the reason why I don't want to talk to a woman anymore, or this is the reason why I don't have anything to do with a woman anymore. I understand those feelings. I had those feelings myself, but I overcame them by the fact that I went to therapy. But I didn't go to therapy like somebody else. No, I set myself down, I talked with myself, I was like, hey, what's up with you? Are you good?
What are you going through right now? What's going on?
Like, it was more like that. I don't believe that you going to talk to someone will be somehow helpful even if they are like very good at what they do. I believe that you are still unique in your experience. Nobody has had an exact same experience that's you. So therefore, even if the therapist will give you some tools and some advices, you still have to look yourself. You have still to look things inward. And can I say this, that I have now quite simply told what therapy is in many different sentences.
A whole freaking package. I'm like, for a moment, next thing he's gonna tell us how the therapy should be going, what should you do, and so on and so on, and how should you build from there, and so on and so on.
Have I told you my therapy to get over a woman? Have I ever told you the best therapy?
I think I already know it.
Yeah, to get under one, or better yet, behind one. That's how it goes.
So tell the whole sentence again. So
the best way, the best therapy to get over a woman is to get under one, or better yet, behind one. That's the best therapy. But yeah. All jokes aside. Game is game. All jokes aside, I just took an example out of my life. What about you, my brother? Therapy. Somebody says therapy. What things come into your mind? What you say? What you hear?
Oh man. For me,
and I'm gonna start to eat this
if you don't mind. Open hands. I mean, to me personally, well, how I understand therapy, it's kind of like similar to what you just said, that therapy is way of how handling things that you couldn't, like, your body couldn't automatically understand, or your mind couldn't, like, solve in itself. And most of the time, that's traumatic things that have happened to you. Most of the time, because with the therapy, there's, the therapy for your mind and your soul, whatever. And then also there's the physical therapy, when you break your stuff. That's why I say it's mostly about negative experience that you gather up and you're unable to solve them by yourself, or they just go to your subconscious without being actually, how would I say? Processed, basically. So that's how I understand therapy. And, well, a lot of times reasons why we gotta go to therapy, or somebody feels like they gotta go to therapy, is like they build up so much of those experiences. For example, well, I got a good one, a lot of the good ones, but confidential things, so I can't really go to details anywhere. NDA. But for example, my previous partner, why I kind of like.
Which of them?
I'm trying not to talk about certain people that much anymore. But yeah. For example, the previous partner, she had the same type of behavior that you just mentioned before. That you are in the mood for a moment, and all of a sudden there's a clutch that just switch up, and that's not about the person in itself, but something from the past that triggers all of a sudden. And of course, as men of God and men of demeanor and gentleman and character,
of course,
we treat that thing as it is and try to solve it in a way. But that's another subject.
Listen to this, man.
But kind of clicked with me when you mentioned that your friend had that experience. Because I was like, oh shit, I have had a lot of those. Actually, way too many of those. Even though I've been that person's like partner for a long period of time as well.
Yeah.
And therapy, as I said before, you try to handle things that you have experienced that you were unable to process, and you just left them hanging on, basically, on the, how would I say, due date. You left it on a due date, and pretty much some part of your life it will pop out pretty much. And in our circumstance, it was about childhood,
Yeah.
because a lot of people, a lot of time when we hear that somebody has to go to therapy is, for example, in their childhood they got abused,
Yes.
for example, and the abuse can be physical, sexual, etc., etc.
Yeah.
We're not going to that detail.
Yeah, nope.
But yeah, we had that type of situation,
yeah.
and you can imagine the amount of mix-up and confusion that it created. Because you know,
sure.
as the not evolved part, you feel like, hold on, what have I done?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Because you don't really understand it that much from as a third person, pretty much. But yeah, therapy to me, it can mean talking to somebody, because that's the first thing that you think about when somebody says therapy. They think about you laying on a couch like a cricket or some shit like that, legs crossed, and somebody writing down things. That's the first, at least majority of people right now, when you tell therapy, that's the first thing they think about, that you get to talk to somebody.
Yes.
And yes, to a degree, I agree. That's one way of doing it. Personally, to me, as we know, doesn't do much shit to me.
No.
Like,
If I ever go, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if I ever go to therapist and they say, "Well, tell me about your childhood," I'm looking at it like, "Well, tell me about your childhood." Well, you're asking me these questions.
yeah, because I'm like, therapists actually need therapists at themselves. So who's gonna be the therapist? But no, like, I get it. Let's say it like this: I get it.
Yeah.
But personally, it's not for me.
Yes.
That's how I say it usually, because that was something that I actually had to argue about in the past a lot of times. That I do not. I might go through therapy in different formats, but I do not need that therapy of me sitting with somebody, because I've tried it like just for fun of it. Because yes, when you go to therapist, as you said, you get tools. That's the number one thing. You get tools and explanations to why you feel certain way, or how to maneuver through your experience and process it in a healthy way that you could like move on and grow from it.
And disclaimer, not a disclaimer, but a quick point. A therapist, he's not giving you the answers. That's not his job.
Or her.
Or her job.
Or it.
Not it. Who is it?
I will fucking hell.
No, it's either he or she. I don't.
Amen.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
No.
but I just want to be clear that because this is from one of our friends actually, who has gone to therapy and been gone to therapy.
Oh, we got a lot of those.
They told me, I don't want to disclaimer the agenda,
NDA.
NDA, but they told me that they don't give you answers.
That's it.
They don't give you answers. They give you just the tools and the ways to maneuver what you said. Quoting, but
Pretty much. And to be honest, I have been, I'm not licensed or anything, but the moment when you feel like you kind of like educated person when you
Oh, man.
When you, no,
Dude.
listen. When you
Dude.
start telling somebody like the possibility of why the things are happening and how should they go from it, basically doing the therapist job. And then later I'll be like, oh shit, I should have told myself to do that as well. But on serious note, like I've been in, well, anybody who has been in a relationship and to certain degree, you have been the therapist to a certain degree. And I was in a lot of cases. And the reason why I said that therapist also gives you just tools and the rest is pretty much on you, how you handle it, because I was doing that. I was giving plenty of tools. And the rest was on your hand. Like I could explain your situation as clear as possible, as day as possible, and as, how would I say, as simple that you could actually process it in a way. And ta-da! And then just do your thing. You need help, I got you, but the rest is on you. So that's why I'm telling you, like when you go to a therapist, pretty much you're willing to like learn from it and process from it. That's pretty much the point. But yeah, about the different forms of therapy. For us, for example, somebody who likes to go to a gym, that's one way of doing therapy, because the whole point is for you to process whatever build up you have in your mind and reset yourself in a sense and be able to function normally afterward. And with the gym example, people like to go to the gym after a long day of work because from the work we build up a lot of negative, positive, neutral experiences and ideas and thoughts that you feel like your mind is clouded to a degree. And when you go to the gym, as one form of your therapy, you kind of like reset yourself and the clouds fade away and you have a much clearer mind. In my situation, I like to go fast. I like to go fast. So, you know, of course, I have healthier forms of doing therapy as well. You know, I like to work out too and doing sports and so on. So even hanging out with friends is one way form of therapy, as long as it actually handles the clogged thoughts that you have in your mind and helps you to kind of clear it out and move on from it. So, yeah, that's that. But, you know, let's not stick to the why I like to go fast. Speed limit, you know. If any officer is listening to this, speed limit, always obey the law.
Of course. What you mean, like?
Obey the law. Hey, some people like to take out of context and later on bring it up. Hey, this guy said this and that.
This guy said this, this guy said
no. Obey the law. Of course, in the area that you're allowed to go fast, I definitely will be going fast.
Yes.
Simple
on
as
the speed limit, like you
said. On the speed limit. And a back note to that, the reason why I like to, well, of course, it builds up the adrenaline and you feel free for a moment. Well, that's the whole thing. You just get reset and all that. Of course, some people might say to you that, well, you don't really get to process your mind, blah, blah, blah. But no, it's kind of, to me, it's kind of like similar to what you're doing, going to the therapist. It won't solve your problems fully. It's on you to solve them.
Yes.
So me going fast, it clears up my mind for a moment and I'm able to go through my thoughts. Oh, yeah. Actually, I need to do this and da. Or going to gym, clear my mind all of a sudden. Oh, yeah, I got to do this and that.
Yeah.
It doesn't solve my problem. They give me the tools and give me the space as well.
Yes, sir.
To function.
Yes, sir. I 100% agree on that. I remember I had this argument also with. I don't know why always females want to argue about this. Maybe it's because I don't know why, but
misogynist.
Every time somebody says that everybody needs therapy, I'm like, are you talking about now the therapy that you are going, or you talk about the TV therapy, or you actually talk about the therapy that is not about like mentioning that, oh, I'm going to therapy to the gym. Like, who says that? I'm not saying I'm gonna go to the gym because I need therapy. No, I'll just go to the gym. And I had a discussion with her and she said to me that, isn't it important to talk about stuff? I'm like, yeah, it is, but if there's nothing to talk about, then...
Not even that. Of course, to majority of social beings, at least people who like to be with people, talking is one way of releasing thoughts, because that's the thing, they're releasing their burdens and whatever in their mind for them to able to process things. But as we said, to us, me yapping, I don't really feel like I'm doing anything. Of course, I get to let out my thoughts, but to be personal, I don't feel like I'm processing whatever things are bugging actually in my mind by just speaking.
Yep.
So.
Yes, sir.
My bad.
No worries. That's the whole point. You said it yourself. And I told her that, listen, I don't do anything with that I go and talk to someone. I personally don't. When I talk, it's either to not be a virgin, to do this podcast, to do my job, or to chap some shit. These are the things. Other than that, I'm not talking about my feelings that, oh, I felt when they said this and they said that and I felt bad and I felt good and I don't... Listen. First thing first, as a man, I don't really care how I feel. This week happened to me. I was dead tired. I'm talking about dead tired. I didn't sleep more than 2 hours. You know the feeling. I didn't sleep for more than 2 hours. Last night I didn't sleep as well. I still went to work. I still went to gym.
Still gotta do what you gotta do.
I still went to do things. Why? It's not about how you feel, it's about the fact that you need to do stuff. You need to actually take action. That is my therapy. When I got home, believe me or not, I wasn't sleepy at all.
But I was reactivated again, back to grind.
I was doing shit. And I remember I was doing some stuff. Not like that. I was doing some business stuff. And
What type of business you mean, huh?
And I was doing that, and I remember maybe around 9 p.m., 10 p.m. At that time, it started to do like, I started to fish.
Feeling a little dizzy all of a sudden.
I started to fish, and all of a sudden, and I said to myself, okay, this is enough. The moment I went to sleep, the next day when I woke up, that was my therapy. I woke up, I was fresh. But understand, now, when therapy is in session, what I've seen, the way that depression or anxiety or those experiences for female and for male, how it is cured is a little bit different. It's a little bit different. I've read this, I don't remember which article it was. It was based on our biology, our psychology, and then on the study that they did based on these, that how they overcame, what was the best way to overcome the depression that they had, or the anxiety, or any kind of this anxiousness, or whatever the case may be that they had in this mental state. And it was interesting because usually females, how they got over was through talking, through having that, let me be free, let me be a woman. It was more towards that. Contrast to the men, they didn't care if they are free, they cared about are they are respected, do they have power. These were the things. If a man got respected and got power, he had the ability to influence something that is very important to him. The depression, all of a sudden, he doesn't have it. Or the anxiety, or...
So what's going on nowadays?
You get what I'm saying? Like,
what's going on nowadays?
You get what I'm saying? Like, it was interesting to see that point, and it's more interesting that it's nowhere in, like, big social media, it's not mainstream. It's like, the last mainstream thing that I saw was 100 Men versus Gorilla. And to me, it's a stupid argument because we all know what's going to happen. But the second... But these important things, for example, this one, why you're not promoted this? I'm not going to go even deeper this because I know maybe I will get cancelled, actually get cancelled, or somebody will knock on my door and say, hey, listen, you'll be opening your mouth a lot. Let's do...
There we
go.
I'm some type of beach. What the heck?
If somebody has never seen, this is my brother, my actual brother.
Okay, man. Also, we gotta censor him. You know, the face and everything.
It's some.
Yeah. You see our great, production going on right here.
It's some bullshit. All this to say, it was interesting to see that the things that men get over with and women get over with are a little bit different, or they're not maybe little, but still there is a difference slightly. And it was interesting to see that, well, if that's the case, we can build the system where therapy in itself is actually working. Because I also believe in this. If therapist cures you, you're not going back. Unfortunately, listen, unfortunately, I have this a little bit capitalistic, pessimistic way of...
You got scammed, bro.
Viewing things, because it doesn't make sense. If everybody gets cured,
I think...
who's gonna pay?
Yeah, the money ain't coming back, I feel scammed, bro.
But...
Ain't that the medical system overall?
Let's go know that.
We ain't trying to, lose our life, I was just saying.
Yep.
But
my next point is actually this is a good, interesting question. Good. Okay. Interesting question.
Interesting question.
How much does God play into this? Not in the sense of people, stuff happening to people, but because people don't have Godhood, people don't have the connection with God, because people don't have religious morals and beliefs and values and systems in their life. They have this kind of need for therapy.
Yeah.
Because I believe that if people were more touched in their faith, in their spirituality, I believe that the therapy would be not that transgression. Is that the right word? Not. It's not the right word. No, it wouldn't be that popular in a sense, that trending. It would be more for the fact that, hey, something actually bad happened to you. It's not a trending thing. You couldn't find the answer through God, so therefore there had to be somebody to back you up.
To replace it.
To replace it. What's your perspective on this?
I mean, as a believer myself as well, of course, I wouldn't say I'm 100%. That's my fault. Sorry, God, my fault. We sinners as always. But what I've noticed, like people who are actually truly hard on the religion and put their faith in God, I've noticed that they have noticeably less depression and like need for extra, therapy and so on. By therapy, we don't mean like what we mentioned before, because as we said, praying is one way of going to therapy as well. So, but like going to therapy to sit, to talk to somebody, etc., etc. Actually, correction. I would say like with the religion is more of the depression, anxiety, so on, panic attacks and so on. Usually, people who are into religion and have that faith don't have that would I say attribute or that
depression, anxiety, complexities.
Those things.
Traits.
It's noticeably smaller percentage because of the faith in itself, because they feel fulfilled with their religion, with their faith, that they don't really have any more, I would say, space for that bad negative feelings to pop in between, pretty much, because every time they feel bad, they pray to God and believe that God will, help them on, and that kind of like fulfills the whole package overall. And actually, a funny thing, I wanted to go back to the previous what you mentioned about the guys, how guys go through therapy, and it's noticeably different. I don't remember specifically, was it Jordan Peterson or whoever? But they talked about as guys. Of course, we are advertised that we shouldn't talk, of course, to a degree. I agree to that, and very specifically talking to your female partner or female overall. As a guy, I kind of feel like you shouldn't do that, especially if it's somebody that you want to have a romantical build with.
Yeah.
For two reasons. Of course, some people be like, well, you can speak and so on. Yeah, to a certain extent, but you don't start, crying about, oh, my life crazy, I can't handle my shit. Now, for that thing, you should be having. That's why they say that as guys, we should have a strong community with guys. Because as guy, you should be able to talk actually with guys, because guys understand how how males go through things.
Yeah.
Because it's noticeably different between females and males. Females, as you mentioned before, females actually just want to be heard and listened to, even though you might not understand English what she said. But as long as you listen, that's good enough in most cases.
You can hear from this guy. Most of the time, when female talk to you, vent to you, it's not about you solving your problem.
Nope. It's just you sitting the hell down and shut the fuck up.
And take it like a man.
Pretty much. I mean, just be present. That's pretty much it. At least in a lot of cases. But as a guy, we start with the thing. We don't even like to speak to each other. But when we speak to a person who most definitely could like see our view to some extent, because as guys, we both trying to solve things. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you, oh shit, man, I'm feeling bad right now.
Yeah.
And you guys like, yeah, I feel you. I understand you. Hit the gym.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Or shit, I'm feeling depressed right now. Man, I feel you, man. But you know what? Like it is sometimes, so we gotta keep it rolling. You know,
Yeah.
we can't let our mamas be hungry and stuff like. You see what I mean? Like, so, as guys, we should be able to speak, but to guys,
Yeah.
because guys understand, and guys will not necessarily make you feel. Well, I don't want to say too much things of getting canceled, but you know, my main point is that young guys should be able to speak to other young guys because we relate in our experiences as guys.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we kind of like the opposite things that we actually try to do to females, that we try to solve their problems. That don't work. But guys try to solve other guys' problem, that would work.
Yeah. And it works.
And it works.
I don't know how you have an experience. I have this experience myself. I have a problem. And I talk to guys. And then one guy who was a little bit older than me, more experienced, he says, well, maybe you should do this. And it works. And you were like...
Because you listen, as a guy,
You do
you
what I
actually
say.
trying to find the resolve. You ain't trying. That's why we said before. Personally, I wouldn't find any beneficial of me just yapping and nothing really happening.
Yes.
It doesn't really push me forward. It doesn't move me anywhere. I most likely will be in my place or go backwards. So that's why I'm trying to find a solution to my problem. So when I speak to a guy most likely will try to give you some type of solution.
Yep.
So on. So yeah, by that we are not trying to like bash all of a sudden every guy's like, oh shit, I ain't gonna talk to my partner. And no. From personal experience, you can speak to your partner to some extent. Like some extent, of course, if you have a, how would I say, you feeling sick today, of course you can,
Of course.
talk to your partner.
Of
or
course.
somebody died in your family, of course, like use your mental health. But if you feel like, how would I say, the gloomy, I don't want to do this today or some shit like that. You don't want to do that because, let's say there's, some people might say, it's not me, but there's a big play in biology to a degree that, if a guy starts showing some type of weakness, it hits you in your ankle pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And even though some people might say, it's not me, I don't do that, I'm different.
Well,
Let's say hypothetically, you might be different, but the majority shows that females tend to turn off. And at least something in their, biologist clicks off that, oh shit, I'm the one, I can whine. If you whine too, we got two, we got two whiners in the house. That don't work.
believe it or not, we had this conversation with my colleagues. 3 females colleagues, and then one guy who he was not a colleague, but he was from in the same complex that we were working. And me and this guy, we talked about this stuff. And we talked about that guys don't cry, especially in front of females. And the females, no, I don't want to be with guys like that. I want my guy to show. And we said that, no, we don't cry. We don't show emotion in front of females. Why? Not because we don't care about them, but because we actually do care about them. And they start to press me. And I said to them, no, I allow everybody else to cry. I don't cry. And I took an example when one of our close, he was also a family friend, but also a relative, like both. And he was living here in Finland. And we were in their funeral. I have told this story before. When we were in their funeral, me and my brother, we didn't cry. We didn't cry, not because he's not our dear friend. It's not because he's not for our heart. But because his wife was there. His sister was there. There were a bunch of other people that were sobbing, that were crying, that this young man, he was actually not even 50, if I remember correctly. Like somewhere like that. And he left 2 kids, like they were 16. he passed away at this particular time. Me and my brother, we didn't cry in front of that public. And later on at night, when we were home alone, then yeah, that's a different story.
Of course. Well, we're trying to say with this story again that we are not advertising that guys should be cold-hearted all of a sudden, show no emotion to nobody. Like we mentioned, to guys, of course, guys should like cry in front of another guy because they understand the way things go as a guy and can help you with that. But the reason why we are trying to advertise, well, not advertise, but trying to explain why guys shouldn't cry in front of a female is that, well, it lessen your sexual appeal to a lot of degree, and also it kind of affects the security feeling towards you because, God forbid or not, it kind of brings out the weakness to a certain degree that you are not the pillar that we can rely on if you can crack out like that.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Unfortunately.
And we are not saying that do not cry in front of a female, because of course you can cry in front of your mom because there's no sexual tension between y'all two. Like,
we don't recommend because you don't want that your mama is worried about you.
No, that's the but like acceptable. Like
yeah,
it's
something
still
okay.
Mom is mom, pretty much. They seen your shitty stuff and you crying, whatever. It's his kid, so they know your grandma, so and so. You know, like family members of females. It don't really matter that much. But anybody up outside of your family tree, it's kind of like no to a degree.
Unfortunately,
because
unfortunately.
To some of you all, this might sound like we're disappearing some shit. Oh, what can you say that? But personally, we have seen it. We have, like, at least I have seen it. Like, among the friends that have got that. Among the friends that have got that to their ankle is crazy. And like we mentioned before, we're not trying to tell anything how you should fully work or should do things, or most of the things that we're telling you is through our own experiences or experiences of our close friends or even their own friends, and they have told us, and through that we can build up we can combine our web of experiences and relate to those.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what we're doing here right now as well. And yeah.
Yes, sir. Let's see how much time we've got, and I think that will be like 2 or 3 parts.
Okay.
But let's see. 50 minutes.
50 minutes. Okay.
What's to say that
we can make shorter.
We can take one more take, and then from there the next episode.
Move on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
To me, I'm gonna be honest. To me, this crying thing, the whole point of it was always that it's a human nature. Like to cry, it is a human nature thing, and it is a very biological thing, in fact, or spiritual thing, in fact. Usually when people cry, they can also feel that something has been lifted off them, that like they have been purified. However, he said that when you cry in front of a female, or you try to explain to a female why you are having this kind of feeling, she can try to sympathize with you, she can try to empathize with you, but then afterwards, that sexual appealing, that attraction, that passion that she is having towards you will disappear. Not maybe disappear, but it will change a little bit. And it is very normal in a sense, like it's a very natural sense also, because women, regardless of what they talk, they will seek protection, they will seek safety, regardless of what they say. They cannot say or they cannot do anything else if they not feel secure, if they not feel safe. I have learned this when I was a kid. I was a little boy when I learned this, that females need to feel themselves safe. Our guys, we don't care. We do crazy stuff.
A great demonstration is actually your parents too. Because how I as third person see it, your mom is a lively person, your dad is more stoic person, and that dynamic works.
Yeah.
Happy family, God bless, happy family. What I've seen, like as I mentioned before, most of the things that we tell is through either our own experience or by us viewing third person or our friends' experience and so on, so on. So in good experience, of course, in my situation, I can't really talk shit because my parents are divorced long ago, so on. But like some people who are I know close by that are together still, is your parents or our homeboy. His parents as well are together, and their dynamic is pretty much like that.
Yeah.
That the father, of course, as you know, your father doesn't really cry that much in front of.
I have seen once.
Yeah, of course.
My whole life.
Exactly.
And it was never something that happened like a death. It wasn't sickness. It was even he went to surgery. He didn't care. Like it wasn't like that. The one time that I saw him cry was when we got our independence. In
the country.
Yeah, the country. That was the first time and that was the last time I saw my father cry. And the way I know my father was, even at then, he didn't like to cry, but it was such a big emotion for him.
So he had to let it out.
So it had to let it out.
But you see, it wasn't something that I will never show. Of course, there's circumstances and understandable ones. And to what you said before, it's not that he don't care. That's somebody might take it a little wrong. It's not that he don't care, but there's little strategic, thinking. Well, not masculine thinking behind it that it's not necessary.
Yeah.
And as guys, we know it's not necessary to cry in every situation because, first of all, it creates kind of like an environment of you gotta be soft in everything, pretty much. At least to a guy. To a female, it doesn't really matter in a sense because as we understand as masculine guys, we gotta protect our females.
Yes, sir.
Give them the space of being soft and gentle. Ladies,
he knows what he talking about.
That be you. But as guys, we gotta be that brick wall.
Yep.
Of course, brick wall in the sense that we gotta let our emotion in certain situations, but not be cold throughout everything. And the reason why I brought your parents as an example is exactly that. That your father, tries to teach you guys, so on, of loving husband.
Yes, sir.
I bet you haven't heard from your mom that she says that, God forbid, I'm trying to say nothing wrong, but that, I hate your dad, he's cold, la. No, I bet you feel secure with your dad.
No.
How long they been married?
This year, 30.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? Same with our homeboy's parents. They've been together since ancient times. And reason why I brought the Stoicism because even after y'all let's say hypothetically, God forbid, y'all separate for some reason, that nigga stays in the mind.
Yeah, for
no
sure.
No matter how many relationships y'all have, that one specific guy who still stood like a stays in mind.
For sure. You know what you're talking about.
I know, because I've been hearing that from the sideline. And if somebody's trying to mess, I ain't even talking about myself, I got my own shit, but hey, can I get a hello?
I know what you're talking about, bro.
Hey, that's what's up. So that's what I'm trying to say with that. That as guys, especially the dynamics with a female, we have to be open, but open to a extent that we don't show too much of like teary eyes and so on. If you need to cry, call your homeboy. If you seriously need to cry, call your homeboy.
Yeah.
Difference, of course, is, let's say, God forbid, your mom dies or some close of your parents. Of course, let it out then. Let it out then, of course.
Sure.
Of course. But if you just feel bad for the day or you're tired for the day and you start crying, that's kind of, it puts off.
I believe that you have seen that clip, but I showed my father, because we talked about this stuff. And I showed my father the clip where senator or ambassador, I don't know what it was, his wife died in a car accident that morning. But he had to get in front of conference and give a speech and answer the question.
Yeah.
It was a skit. Like, it's not true. That thing that it was just it never happened. But I showed that to my father, and do you know what he said to me? He said to me, yeah, that's what you do. Now, my father, he is, like you said, he's a very stoic man. But he actually cares because, like you said, he taught us, me, my brother, he taught us that, hey, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to predict this, you have to do that. My mother, she can never complain about stuff. She can never complain that no, this is wrong. Why? She cannot say. And it's just the way he was built.
Built different.
Like I can say that he was built. He was built during the wartime. So to him, to go and talk about something depression is like an insult.
It is. Actually, about the depression, that's a whole. We gotta add it up to the next episode. But to that, there's like a lot of reasons, situation where somebody's like, when you talk about depression, especially in first world country, when you have weird feelings and so on and so on, somebody's like,
to my father. If you ever go to my father,
go to the third world country, my boy.
Yeah. If you ever go to my father and say, hey, I feel depressed, my father will look at you like, you have
get your act together.
Like, you have a privilege to be depressed? Who the hell you think you are?
Exactly.
But on this note, for the next episode, because we are going from therapy to the more complexities in the sense of the social therapy that people yap in the social media.
Why has it become popular as well?
Yeah.
There's something. But we're continuing on this subject as well.
Yeah, so. It is a large subject, and I believe that we can stem this part 2 or even part 3.
Right.
But we have to see. We have to see. Glad that you joined us on this podcast. We are doing it with you and me, but hey.
Grind, we keep on grinding.
We keep on grinding, that's how it goes. You know what to do, like, comment and subscribe. You know where to do those things. Anything else to say?
Not much. God bless your souls. Thank you for watching again, and we shall see y'all in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.